Despite his horrific crimes of torture, murder, and overwhelming oppression of muggles and muggleborns, what's most memorable about Lord Voldemort is his unnatural and abnormal appearance. The Dark Lord's once handsome looks, which allowed him to charm and captivate so many of those he encountered in his youth, became nothing but a distant memory and one he cared not to remember. Not out of sadness, but out of callous, as he simply didn't care. It was always worth it for the reward of achieving immortality, and achieve immortality he certainly did. Many, if not all Harry Potter fans are aware of what a Horcrux is, and we're also aware of how a young Tom Riddle split his soul to bond himself permanently to the living world. What Tom didn't count on, however, was just how adverse the effects of splitting his soul would have on his physical human appearance. In today's video, I'm going to analyse and investigate, Horcrux by Horcrux, the declining stages of Tom Riddle's appearance, from his very first Horcrux at just 16, until his last, Nagini, his snake. With that being said, everyone, if you want to join me in my investigation on exactly how Tom Riddle's appearance changed, stage by stage, Horcrux by Horcrux, then stick around. You won't want to miss this. Okay everyone, let's get started. I think it's really important to understand how dark and foul the creation of a Horcrux is. The piece of magic is so well known amongst Potterheads that it's almost as if it just easily passes through conversation. Like, oh, remember when Tom made his second Horcrux? I honestly feel the value, the overall nature and power of the dark practice is taken for granted. Taken for granted amongst fans, that is. This is the worst kind of magic ever invented. Everything about a Horcrux goes against the fibres of humanity, and whether we want to accept it or not, magic is a massive part of humanity and vice versa. One thrives because of the other. The invention of new incredible spells, or the creation of magical instruments like wands, or the ability to change into an animal. Guys, the building and establishment of humans and magic as one is the greatest part of the magical world. Wizard kind is fascinating. There is nothing as extraordinary as this species. The connection between a magical person and their power. That connection that goes deep within themselves, within their soul. Is it any wonder they are so proud of their race? Then we have the Horcrux. Something that uses magic to destroy the connection magic has created in the first place. It is the worst of the worst. Guys, I can't stress enough to you all how dark and truly beyond the point of no return the process of creating a Horcrux takes you to. There is no coming back. The only reason one would ever do such a thing is purely selfish beyond any doubt. So then we have Tom Riddle. Obviously magically gifted from a very young age. He's had a tough childhood, we know that. Tom gets to go to Hogwarts and, originally, whether some of you want to believe it or not, set his sights on becoming a first-rate wizard. To be the best he could be, within legal lines. We're also aware just how much Tom feared death. But the question is, did he fear death as a sign of human weakness, or generally because he didn't want to die, out of fear of just death alone, like his life ending? I think it was a bit of both. Either way, he was determined to achieve immortality, no matter the sacrifice, and what a sacrifice it truly was. Tom Riddle lost more and more of his humanity each time he created a Horcrux, which reflected in his physical appearance. Now, the thing is, Voldemort's appearance changed quite drastically by the third or fourth Horcrux, and this done a serious amount of damage to his soul, damage that reflected in his appearance as I've stated. So let's go to the first Horcrux, which was created after the murder of Moaning Myrtle. Now, the first Horcrux had minimal effects. Minimal effects that the first Horcrux should have. Don't forget everyone, the dark practice was only supposed to be performed once. Anchor that person to the living world and that's it. That's that. They become immortal. Those physical changes, as I said, would be minimal, which I believe would be the pigmentation in the skin becoming much lighter, slight elongation of the fingers, and thinning hair. Again, another thing to note, Tom's hair didn't recede and slowly fall out over time. It fell out in clumps, not just on his head but his entire body. He became hairless basically. So with the diary Horcrux, it would have been just minimal. Don't forget, he had no idea what the adverse effects would be, and he still had to complete his schooling. By the time he created the second Horcrux, which was the Gaunt Signet Ring, he had murdered several of his family members, so here's why it forced such a drastic change so quickly. Riddle's soul was already split multiple times. Who knows what it done, pulling a shard from an already heavily ruptured soul. And I believe this caused Tom's eyes to begin to lose their colour slowly. And as the saying goes, the eyes are the window to the soul, and I do feel JK played on this. Anyway, they turn grey, losing their natural colour before occasionally turning that scarlet red that became so synonymous with the Dark Lord's appearance. Now, that was Tom's last Horcrux while in school. He still worked locally in Borgin and Burke to the surprise of nearly the entire wizarding community, as he had showed so much promise academically. After he befriends Hepzibah Smith, due to her particular interest in collecting artifacts of note, she reveals to Tom her most prized possessions, the Hufflepuff Cup and the Locket of Slytherin. The sight of the objects genuinely causes Tom's eyes to flash red with lust for the locket he believed to be rightfully his, and the cup that reminded him of his time in Hogwarts, which, despite everything, always felt like his true home. After killing Hepzibah and creating the Cup Horcrux and his third Horcrux, this is when Tom starts to feel the change quite heavily. His scarlet eyes are beginning to protrude, and his nose is beginning to lose shape. It's not long after that Tom then kills a Muggle tramp and creates the fourth Horcrux. At this point, he has torn his soul beyond repair. Anchoring 4 pieces of himself to the living world is something far beyond even the greatest wizard's expectations. His actions are so unnatural that even though he has pushed the boundaries of magic as he claims, Tom has done more than that. He's taken it a lot further than that. It's taken him to a place where the rules are not written, the consequences are unknown, but humanity will be the cost. His human facial features became severely distorted, almost wax-like, as if they were just ready to melt off and reveal what was beneath, the true monster within. After the diadem Horcrux created after killing the Albanian peasant, it was only a matter of time before he would lose what remained of the once elegantly handsome man that was Tom Riddle. By the time he went back to Hogwarts, he was in the middle of transitioning into the man that Harry knew from his emergence from the cauldron in his 4th year. It's actually best described from the book, which reads as follows. Voldemort had entered the room. His features were not those Harry had seen emerge from the Great Stone Cauldron almost 2 years before. They were not as snake-like. The eyes were not yet scarlet, the face yet not man-like, and yet he was no longer handsome Tom Riddle. It was as though his features had been burned and blurred. They were waxy and oddly distorted, and the whites of his eyes now had a permanently bloody look, though the pupils were not yet the slits that Harry knew they would become. As you can see, it was literally only a matter of time. The damage had already been done. The hairless, noseless, unnatural figure we all know wasn't too far away. I love J.K. Rowling's description of burned and wax-like, as if his human features were melting off his face, revealing the serpent-like eyes and nose, a true reflection of Voldemort's rejection of his own mortality. His face appeared almost ageless, just smooth, cold and pale. By the time he created Nagini, he didn't change much in terms of appearance. I think he knew what he had sacrificed in order to be in the position he was, and as I said at the beginning, he just didn't care. He embraced the physical changes because it distanced himself further and further from the appearance of a normal human, a weak creature. Tom didn't want to look like something that grew old, feeble and just died. That's why he had no issue with how he looked. It was all going according to his plan. Anyway everyone, with that being said, that is my video on how the Horcruxes changed Tom Riddle's appearance. Thank you very much for watching. My question of the day is this. I've always wished that the encounter between Tom Riddle and Albus Dumbledore on his return to Hogwarts was included in the movie. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks again, have a great day, and please remember, don't forget, be happy. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever. So please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do. It's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content. So if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.